20. Kahila Hila. Ashamed. I landed with a jolt, and when I put out a hand to balance myself, Malia caught it. She didn't let go but looked intently into my face. Pia, what have we done to make you so angry? I couldn't look at her anymore, so I stared at the ground. I dug my toes around a coarse lava pebble. If only I could skitter sideways like a crab beneath the tunnels in the grass. Or dart like a mongoose along the low edge of the rock wall away from Kameka's home. If only I could put the pig back where I found it. I looked around for Kameka but did not see him. Kameka is not here, said Malia. He's making a delivery to Mr. Meyer. She pointed to the cliffs. I looked toward the top of the poly. But I wasn't thinking about Mr. Meyer. I was thinking about Kameka climbing the poly trail. I knew how dangerous it was, steep and slippery in some spots and completely washed out in others. Malia gripped my arm. Do you think Kameka will come back safely? Don't worry, I said. If he can't climb the poly, no one can. Even Mr. Meyer comes over the trail sometimes. Malia sighed with relief. Kameka wants to buy food up there. It's too soon for our garden to produce. And anyway, she said, someone keeps pulling up our plants. I was looking down now, but I felt her watching me. I was sure she could see that I was the one who'd been there just a few days earlier. When I dared lift my head, I saw those dry patches of leprosy along her neck. I wished I hadn't seen them again. I didn't like how they connected her to me. You didn't tell me why you hate us so much, said Malia. Sit down. I will make you coffee. No. I said. When I saw the hurt in her eyes, I softened my tone. I mean, I'll sit. But I don't want to use up all your coffee. Keep it for yourselves. I sat on the rock wall and watched as she scrambled over it into the enclosure that surrounded her home. Slowly I turned and swung my legs over the wall so that I was included in the little corral. I felt strange, at home but out of place, almost hugged by this shelter I'd been trying to destroy. I slid to the ground and leaned back against the rocks. I pulled my legs up to my chin and huddled there. Something about this quiet woman pulled me into her enclosure. Malia sat on a stone in front of me and asked me again, why do you hate us? I don't hate you, I said. It's Kameka I hate. But why? I thought you and Kameka were friends. I snorted softly. I thought so, too. What happened? I looked at her in surprise. I had assumed she knew everything. But then again, maybe I wasn't important enough for Kameka to mention to his wife. Kameka came to my house when I was born, I said. Our mothers say we loved each other from the beginning. I hadn't intended to say so much. But now that I'd started, the story tumbled out. I ate my first boy from Kameka's finger. He taught me to walk and I followed him everywhere. I started my life with him and I thought he would be there to the end. What happened? I didn't want to repeat the story of Kameka's rejection. Why don't you ask him? I did, said Malia. But he won't talk about it. Kameka is strong on the outside. But inside he carries a shame that he has never shared with me. Malia's words reminded me of something my mother had said when she came to see me in the hospital. She told me that Kameka was too ashamed to visit me. Tutu had also talked of shame. Kameka was once a child, too, she'd told me. I remembered the sadness on her face when she said it. And how her voice faded to a whisper. When did you stop being friends? Asked Malia. I wondered the same thing. When did we stop being friends? And why? Why, after always being there, did Kameka disappear one day and not come back? I reached for one of the sticks I'd taken from the pig pen. I peeled at its bark while I struggled with the questions. At first when I got leprosy, I thought he would rescue me. Kameka knows about plants and medicines. I thought he would know some bark to boil for tea or a plant to make into a poultice for my sores. I tossed a bit of bark over Malia's head and watched it disappear with the wind. But he didn't come to my house with a remedy. Malia gripped the other end of the stick. So then the Board of Health brought you here. First they took me to Kalihi Hospital. I waited for Kameka to visit. But he never came. And when they sent me to Molokai, he did not come to the wharf to give me his aloha. I leaned my head against the wall and closed my eyes so I would not see Malia looking into my pain. But I heard her voice, and it was gentle and sad. Kameka is afraid of leprosy, she said. I saw his face when I showed him my spots the first time. I felt him pull away from me. He even ran from me. But I think he's trying to conquer his fear. He wants to put things right. I didn't say anything. I stared past Malia's head and sat with her in silence as the sun crept off past the landing place and along the western sea cliffs of Molokai. Eventually Malia tugged gently on the stick we held between us. He wants to be your friend, Pia. Give him another chance. I thought that it was easy for Malia to trust Kameka. But she did not know how it felt to come here alone. Perhaps she had seen fear on Kameka's face when he learned about her illness. Whatever Kameka felt, at least Malia had seen it. When I got leprosy, he did not see my spots. And I did not see his fear. He simply disappeared. And I had almost gotten used to it. Now my eye caught a movement in the distance, on the polly that towered above us. A man was coming down the trail. Kameka is coming, I said. I began to rebuild the wooden pen I'd destroyed. I retrieved the sticks I'd thrown in anger. I worked silently, carefully, until the broken wall was rebuilt. I will return the things I stole from you, I promised. Then I leaped over the wall and ran across the plain. I did not look back.